Family caregiving expert Stephanie Erickson back on the show to talk about, of course, caregiving and a brand new web series you have called Caring for Those Who Care. Welcome back. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
First of all, you know, I think we all have an image when we think of caregiving and in particular caregivers. How would you describe caregiving to people?
Well, I think it could be in an acute situation. So, for example, you have a surgery and your wife needs to help you for a month as you recover. That's kind of acute, but I think a caregiver is really something that's more chronic, more ongoing, and usually it's progressive.
How did the web series come about? Tell me about this.
I know someone through someone, kind of a thing in the caregiving world, and they refer me to this guy. It's a company called North of Now, and they put on this production. They had a web series, season one, and they asked me to do season 2. So it was kind of through somebody, and there I am hosting it. Yeah, it was awesome.
Let's talk about, you know, the caregivers that you were. So did you travel across the country? Were you in different parts of the country? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I was in 3 different areas of BC, and we also went to Ontario.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about some of these wonderful caregivers. We're going to start with Erica. She has a husband with recurrent brain cancer. Tell us a little bit about Erica and her story.
She is amazing. She also has 2 young children, by the way, so you can imagine how busy her life is. And she is so amazing at taking care of herself. That's the thing that really got to me. She runs marathons, and it never stopped, even though she's still caring for her husband. So she's managed to work her schedule around, and he comes to the pool when she's swimming, or she sets up for respite, and then she goes on her run, and that's really her release. She's really amazing.
And her, I imagine too, her kids obviously must help out with the caregiving too. When you have someone that's busy like that, do you see that in families? The kids taking an approach as well?
Sometimes, but not in Erica's situation. First of all, one of hers is a little tiny toddler.
Tiny, they're small kids,
and another one could maybe do some things, but she really tries to separate it. And she says that the things that she loves the most are the mundane things, you know, packing of the lunches, the everyday mommy things. And I think she really tries to keep her kids away from any of the struggles that their father may be having.
Right. Next up is Natasha. She has a daughter that has a rare genetic disorder. Tell me about Natasha.
Yeah, it's a hard situation because there's barely anyone with this diagnosis. So she lost one child already to this same exact disease, and they didn't even figure it out until the second child what the disease even was, which is just so how do you find support when you don't even know what the name is? There's still not even a name actually for this genetic mutation, so they just categorize it by the gene. But she was amazing as well, and what I took away from her was her ability to be present with her children and with her family all the time.
Yeah, and must be in and out of hospital, like constantly in a situation like
that. I mean, this child should never have even been walking, should never have lived as long as she's living. I saw her walking up and down the stairs. Her mom has moved into the home, so that's really helpful. And she also has 2 other children. Let's
talk about Vicky. She's a professional caregiver who cares for adults on the autism spectrum. You had a little smile when I mentioned Vicky's name.
Because it amazes me. I mean, it's one thing to be a caregiver for someone that you love or a family member or a close friend. It's something else to bring a stranger into your home, and an adult nonetheless on the spectrum, which creates a lot of challenges. So just my heart goes out to her because I think she's amazing for bringing somebody into her home.
What's the day-to-day life for her and the family?
Well, for this gentleman that lives with her, this adult, she had to do a lot of avocation. So in BC, like here, there's struggles within the public system, and you know, the right hand's not talking to the left, and so she really is kind of like a self-taught professional caregiver where she's learned the system, she's made connections with private resources, public communities, online, and her whole day is like about scheduling and trying to figure out how to get this guy resources.
Lastly is Kim. She's a paramedic. She also cares for her dad at home, right?
Yeah, so she's, you know, working as a paramedic all day long, seeing very challenging situations, and then at night the same thing. And one thing that she says is she thought, you know, as a paramedic, I thought I'm prepared for everything, but I'm not.
What is her dad's issues at this time in his life?
Most of it has to do with some of his activities of daily living. He needs some prompts, he needs some assistance. But he's a very happy man. He was very joyful when we were there. He laughs a lot, and I think that makes it a bit easier for her.
Where can we find the web series?
You can go on Stories for Caregivers on the YouTube channel, Facebook, or of course there's a website.
I know you're so passionate. We talked about this for months leading up to it and how passionate you were, so congratulations. And thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Don't go away. Lots more coming up here on Breakfast Television. Of course, we have your news headlines. Catherine will let you know what's going on out there on the roads as well. Don't go anywhere.